Hi guys, welcome. I'm Jen Burst and I'm the founder and president of Generation PR and the creator of the award-winning Profitable PR Pros Community and Generation Academy. Today's topic is going to be around how to prepare clients for media interviews. We know that whether it's a client, a seasoned CEO who's been on TV or been in, speaking to the media quite a bit, it's their 101st time or it's their first time. And especially if it's live, it's really stressful. It is a high pressure situation, and we want to help our clients be prepared for whatever the interviewer throws at them. And they might have to answer something that's a really challenging question on the fly that they don't anticipate. If your client doesn't feel comfortable and confident during the interview, it will not result, it'll backfire on both of you. So it's not going to be that great killer feature that you were expecting, like, oh my God, I got them an interview in the New York Times, that you guys are kind of both looking for. And it is our job as PR pros to ensure that this situation doesn't backfire, that doesn't happen, they don't get caught off guard, they're not scrambling like, deer in headlights. They're not frozen with concern about what to say because they didn't prepare for it. So I'm going to share with you 6 really powerful strategies to help you ensure your clients are prepped, they're ready to go for that next media interview, and you feel confident pitching them because you know they're going to nail it. So the first thing you're going to do is get their assets in order. And honestly, you should have this done before you pitch your clients for anything, let alone media interviews. But the specific assets that you may need, they may differ based on your niche, but you definitely need updated photography, like a headshot for them, a complete press kit with bio, backgrounder on the company, any samples, perhaps, if you happen to work with products, or if it's an app or something that is more, tech-driven, you want to have access to, a lot of times there's like a soft launch or a beta launch. You have to be able to give access to the media to get on those platforms and try them out and understand so they can speak credibly about them when they're asking those questions. You have to have updated website links that are really built out with a ton of information. And the potential interviewer or the outlet may specify their need for additional assets like a reel. Probably going to want a reel. It could be podcasts. You can edit it together for them, just showing they can carry a segment. They're telegenic. They want probably some facts, like fact sheets, so they can quickly pull information to round out their story and also round out the questions they ask by having up-to-date information and an interviewee bio. And the bio should also include something around the why. Why did they create this company? Who do they serve? How do they serve them? What are they trying to accomplish with their expertise? Or what is if they're sharing a transformation, did they have the transformation? Do they coach other people how to have the transformation? How many people have they successfully led through this transformation? All of that should be included in the bio because it leads to credibility. And when the interviewee is sharing who they're talking to, the audience is going to pay attention. But if your client doesn't have any of these or all of these, you need to help them get on that ASAP because the media is going to ask and you need to be able to turn out replies quickly so that you don't miss an opportunity. And when you have your client's asset locked down, like they're on lock, they're ready to go, buttoned up, you can confidently and easily pitch them last minute opportunities that come up. So you don't have to waste time tracking down missing assets. You're going to be stressing your client out, stressing out your contact because they're running up against a deadline or you're trying to gather everything right before the interview. that's stressful. Your client's like, why didn't you have it all together? They don't know what they need. You just have to tell them, do you have this? And if not, let me help you create it. And that's going to allow you to be able to respond immediately when a journalist or an interviewer requests your client's assets, and it'll make your job much easier. And the client will appreciate that you have thought through everything in advance, so they're just able to focus on the questions and that opportunity to be interviewed. And your media contacts obviously love when you're prepared and they're not waiting on you for a deadline. So that's first, gather assets. And if they don't have it, you have to help them pull them together. So number 2, prepare and share a briefing document. Okay, super important. Briefing document. As soon as your client's interview is confirmed, you should start writing up a briefing document to share with them, with the team, with everybody who needs this information. And this will include, the briefing document will include general themes and topics of the interview, recommended messaging, like key messaging in bullets so it's easy to remember, and any anticipated questions. And if there are any specific quotes or statistics that you want your client to be able to use and to state cold so that they're ready, they have those stats ready to go. And the more technical meeting details, like date, time, location, give a Zoom link, give an address, schedule it in their calendar, make sure they approve it. If they have somebody who does their scheduling, make sure that person knows they can get them on the phone at that time. That's really important that they're accessible. That impacts your relationships. If you have a client ghost your contact at a publication, that's going to reflect poorly on you. So this briefing document will do a really good job of giving them the information they need. You also want to include the interviewer's name, their contact information, maybe pull a little bio on that interviewer and some of their most recent stories. That's your client's homework. They need to read up on the person who's going to be interviewing them. They have to be able to, sometimes you match somebody's energy level, you match their personality, you want to be able to have a back and forth discussion. It really helps if you know what you're going into and who's going to be chatting with you on the other end. The briefing document helps the interview run smoothly, keeps your client on track, but that is just a starting point. That document alone isn't adequate enough. That's not the pure full prep. This is just getting you aligned on when, what, who, and all of that. And then you're going to have a prep session one-on-one with your client, and you can add your own notes. You can build that out a little bit depending on how things, on how things roll out. You're also going to explain how you'll participate in the interview. So it's really common for PR pros to sit in on client interviews, whether they're online, on the phone, or in person. If your client has never done a media interview before, they may not even know this. So you want to let them know your role and how you'll be participating. And since you're not the focus of the interview, you won't have a ton of input, obviously, but your client should be prepared for you to maybe jump in when necessary, to clarify, or to remind them of something. The goal is to not have to do that, because I think it has a subtle impact on their confidence and the interviewer's perception of their trustworthiness, depending on the questions, or their knowledge on the subject. If you have to nudge them and be like, remember this, it's your company. Why don't you know that? What are you hiding, or why don't you know this information? So try not to participate. But before the interview, quickly explain to your client why you're going to be there for the interview and what your purpose will be. So your presence should give them confidence Don't cause unnecessary stress before the interview by emphasizing how you'll be there to correct them or redirect the conversation. If it goes on a tangent, that'll like stress them out. Oh my God, I can't go on a tangent. Like they're going to say something, because then if you do say something, they're going to be like, what did I do wrong? I went off on a tangent. Instead, remind them that you're there in case the interviewer goes off script. Your client maybe blanks on a statistic or something along those lines, or the examples that they want to share that you guys prepped and it's in the prep document, or your client is asked about an upcoming launch that they can't share yet, and help the client handle that. Because remember, they're not communications professionals. So you are also going to give your client homework. Like I said, your client should be familiar with the interviewer, their publication, their media outlet. That's before the interview even begins. So you're going to send them that briefing sheet with a handful of the most recent pieces and some of the publication's most relevant articles, videos to review, some that are even some that are in the same vertical that your client might appear on, or the same segment type, or the same interviewer has asked those questions, so you can see the interviewer style. You can do that in the briefing document, and you can show them that they should start to take in the interviewer's tone, their expertise, whether they stay on topic or if they're like a gotcha, like you're doing something media related that's a reputation rehabilitation, right? And something that happened in the past that was maybe a little negative may come up. Sometimes, and it will, and you prep your client for that, but sometimes interviewers will just keep going and they want to get a rise out of you. They want to get a reaction. It's like that gotcha journalism. You can be there to make sure your client stays on track and the interviewer stays on track. But also, if you watch segments from the interviewer in the past, you can tell if that's the type of journalist they are, and get them ready. They may push you a little bit. You're going to be ready. Your feathers will not get ruffled because this may happen. And you also want them to start to get a sense of how to connect with the interviewer that they're going to be talking to just right off the bat, so that they can match the tone and everything. They'll learn more about the audience, the voice of the publication. It's just really helpful for them to come into it having done some diligence, prepping what they want to say, but also having an awareness of what the interview could or should be like. The homework is really important. The client's language, the words they use, the way they talk may have to change depending on the interviewer and their audience. So your client may need to tone down any industry jargon. If it's too technical, they may have to find ways around using terms that aren't universally understood or recognized in that interview, because it's more mass population, mass market. It's not so niche down. So you want to ensure that any technical jargon, legal jargon, anything that's too high level and nitty gritty details and specific are going to have to be kind of like dumbed down, right? Like talk as if you're talking to your aunt who doesn't really know anything about what you do, or, hey, this audience is very savvy. The interviewer has obviously like a great level of technical understanding. You can speak the language here, and sometimes, when you like define a word by using the word itself and you're just like, well, like that doesn't help. So if you're trying to explain something by also using technical details, that's going to be confusing too. So have a way that you're able to describe something that's maybe a little technical or uses industry jargon in plain English. So it's easier to prepare for those things beforehand, so that you can have new descriptions, new explanations, because if you're doing that on the fly or on air, it's one of those things that can cause your client to get flustered. Okay. And sometimes they're used to preparing like technical documents for investors, right? Or the kinds of people they're used to communicating with, they just get it. Engineers or marketers or whatever, they're used to these technical terms. And they may not, the client you're having on the air may not have ever had to dumb it down. And so they might need your help because they think it's very obvious. And the average layperson will be like, my brain is scrambled. I don't know what this person's talking about. The next thing, you are going to hold a mock interview with your client. They have to take it seriously. If your client has never done a media interview before, this is the best way to prepare. They're going to get more comfortable speaking in an interview environment. They're going to know what to expect from the real thing. Bonus points if you can simulate the same kind of tech setup as the actual interview. If they're going to be in person on camera, set that up. They can see themselves. They can watch themselves. If it's going to be Zoom, record it so they can watch it back. You'll get a better sense of their strengths and their weaknesses in interviews, and then you can adjust their strategies accordingly. Sometimes they get tripped up on certain things. They can't remember facts and figures. And then when they can't remember stuff, it just looks like they're kind of incompetent or they're lying, right? It's not just like they're nervous. It's that they're incompetent or they're lying. And that's obviously not the case. So you just want to ensure, okay, if that way, those three words together are going to trip you up, let's find another way to say it. Like it's a tongue twister and they can't ever spit it out, right? So you want to make sure you roll through your talking points and they are able to spit them out efficiently and with, clarity and authority. Otherwise, they look like they don't know their stuff, right? So schedule a call with your client for the mock interview. You're going to act as the interviewer, obviously, and start by asking your client basic questions and then move into the more unique ones that the interviewer is going to ask. You want them to talk about themselves, their bio, short and sweet. They can't ramble. You want to make sure the client's not rambling on and on because certain things are going to be asked, that. So they should have like succinct responses. Okay. So when you're having this mock interview, you're going to take notes on what you'd like your client to improve on before they have that actual interview. You're going to record this as a video call, review it together afterwards so you can give feedback. And the goal is to get them prepped and ready and comfortable and confident for whatever happens. You might even try asking them those harder questions that are going to get them flustered so they have experience answering them when they're not expecting to. Okay. And then they'll see themselves on camera and you'll say, do you want to go through that again? And give them more training and opportunity to improve that response and keeping things succinct. So I think the footage is really good because you can see if they have weird mannerisms. They're talking with their hands. They're like slumped in their chair. They can see all of that. They're not making eye contact. The other thing too is, let them know about their clothing, something bright, not stripes. If they're going to be on TV, stripes tend to make the camera like wonky. Not white, just not white, not black. Some people love those colors, but white is, I think, the worst. I don't remember why, but black just sucks the life out of you a little bit. So, bright, colorful, you want them looking and feeling their best. So the last thing is confidence for your clients. And that is what you're there for, to cheer them on. You remind them, you can do this. You got this. Like, you're awesome. You got this. Knowing that you've prepared is totally different than feeling prepared. Your client knows their stats. Okay, great. Key messaging. And they know all of this like the back of their hand. There's always that like pre-interview jitters, especially if this isn't something they do a lot. That will sneak in. It'll throw things off course. It'll make them like forget. I also try to let them know that nervousness and excitement, anxiety and excitement feel really similar. Anticipation of something and being nervous about it and feeling excited, they feel really similar. And so I try to get them to look at that feeling, that pit in their stomach, like their heart fluttering, or like their hands, as excitement. Their body is like, okay, it's time, let's do this, right? And like a reframe, just so that they aren't like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, but it's like, wow, I'm really excited about this. I must really care. This must be really important to me. This must be a really cool opportunity. Little mindset shift. You can try that with your clients. But this is where you come in and you're there to support them. You are there to help them succeed, make sure they know they can work through that jitteriness or that stage fright. It doesn't matter. The only person that they're talking to is the interviewer. That's it. It doesn't matter if it's broadcast anywhere. It's, nobody, if they're being judged or what, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It's just about answering the questions and thinking that it is a wonderful opportunity for you, for the client, their business, to share what they love, share what they're passionate about. And that should be exciting. It shouldn't make them like freaked out. They're going to enjoy it a lot more if they're just like, oh my God, I can't wait. This is going to be so awesome. Like, I'm going to make this awesome. So take some time before the interview. Make sure your client believes in themselves. They feel comfortable. They feel confident. This is what I want to have you do for your clients. And you can do this for yourself. Anytime you're going into anything, a new client pitch meeting, the client's going on an interview, you can decide who you want to be in that moment. The best version of yourself, not a fake, not a phony version, the best version of yourself. Confident, supportive, interested. You can remind yourself, like I get on client calls and I tell myself, I'm confident, I know my stuff. So I'm come in and be like super confident in what I do and all of that. It's a mindset, and you can tell yourself how you want to show up. Remind your clients in interviews, ask them, how do you want to be perceived? Who do you want to be? You get to decide. How do you want to show up on this call? And make sure they are reminded just beforehand who they want to be, how they want to be perceived. If you're able to be with them, either if it's in person or virtually, right before the call, shake off the nerves, get excited, put up some music, like what's their pump you up song? What's your pump you up song? Whatever it is, quick pep talk, like bring the energy up. You want to bring the energy up. That'll help shake off the nerves, and that'll get them showing up with the highest energy, because energy tends to like go down as you're talking. You want to have them show up just energized and excited. And if not, if you can't be there, you can't join live, you're not going to be present with them, give them some kind of grounding exercises to complete before the call for a quick confidence boost. And that's where you can remind them, remember you told me you want to be perceived as, empathetic, smart, knowledgeable, a helper, caring and compassionate, whatever it is. Write it down on a Post-it note, and right before you go out, you're going to look at that note and be those things, think those things, be those things, all of that, to get in that right headspace so they can show up as the best version of themselves. And you can all pat yourselves on the back when this awesome interview comes out, and you're going to be like, you nailed it. And now that is a piece that you can leverage for other opportunities. You can also, workshop, like, we would have loved to have talked about this, or this would have been a really great place for this talking point. But, remember for next time, definitely after the fact, you're going to want to do like kind of a postmortem and just talk through, like, how did you feel? You like, how can we make this easier? Maybe we take bullets and put them on note cards so you can just remember those key pieces really quickly and know when to plug them in the conversation. All of that is going to really help your client nail it. It's going to make you look great. Your media contacts are going to love working with you. So that is how you prepare your client, and will also make your job, your results better. Okay, that's what I have for you today. Thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much. Bye.